In July 2022, I competed in my first bodybuilding competition. And it did not go well.
I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job.
Now, of course, I did not have delusional aspirations that day. I did not expect to qualify for nationals, much less go pro, or even win the class. That said, I was still unhappy with the package I brought. I knew it was far from my best, so I decided to bulk for the next 1.5 years. I then cut from January into May, and almost 2 years later, here we are yet again. This is my attempt at redemption, and I will let you be the judge at how well I did that. In addition, of course, to getting the actual judging results, which you will see coming up. Still self-coached, doing all of my training, all of my nutrition, and my posing, which is admittedly still very mid. Ronnie Coleman famously said, "Everybody wanna be a bodybuilder, but don't nobody wanna lift no heavy-ass weight." I think the modern version of that quote should be, "Everybody calls themselves a bodybuilder, but nobody wanna actually compete." Amidst an endless sea of LARPers, I am doing the damn thing, for better or for worse. Alright, so all checked into the hotel. This is a nice little room here. Got a little mini fridge to put my chicken in. Have the Carb Up Frosted Flakes. I might eat a little bit tonight and then probably have some before stage tomorrow. So I'm about to get a tan, and then they do a second coat really early in the morning. It's like 5 a.m. or something. I think that's what it was on my last show. And just gonna kick it here. Go get the tan, and then I'll probably practice some posing tonight. Once you get the tan, you become completely sticky as if you're covered in honey. It's really gross. I'm not sure when exactly I'll go on. Last time I competed, Men's Open went first, and there was a ton of those guys. Tons of them, dude. So many Men's Open competitors. Then we were after that as Classic. So I don't know when I'll be on stage. Some of you have asked, well, actually, by the time you see this, it's gonna be too late. But some people were asking, like, can I live stream the show or watch it? This video, yeah, bro. I mean, I'm not at the level to where you can live stream any of these events, man. This is a lot of effort for very little payoff ultimately, and I don't know if I have the passion for it. I'm gonna bring as much as I possibly can, especially when I'm this depleted, but it's an interesting activity, man. It really is. I think about the people that do this so much. Like, there's people that compete every single year, man. Sometimes multiple times a year. Some people are competing not long after they join the gym. Like, certain people, if they join the gym and they meet who they meet, they will just begin competing, even if they're not ready for it at all. You're about to see me all glazed up, as you guys have been asking for. Where's the glute spread, bro? I might put that behind a paywall. So this room is pretty barren, but I find this holy Bible just sitting in this little dresser thing here. I was raised religious. I don't take it extremely seriously at this point, but I decided, hey, let's just open up this Bible to a random page and see what it says. We land in the book of Jeremiah, and chapter 13, verse 1, "Thus says the Lord to me, go and buy a linen loincloth and put it around your waist, and do not dip it in water. So I bought a loincloth according to the word of the Lord and put it around my waist. And the word of the Lord came to me a second time. Take the loincloth that you have bought, which is around your waist," it's getting kind of redundant, "and arise. Go to Euphrates and hide it in a cleft of the rock." And given the fact that I'm about to be prancing around on stage in a loincloth, maybe there is some heavenly intervention at play here. Alright, so the tanning is finished. I went to get water from the vending machine here. It only takes cash. $2, I only have a $1 bill. Couldn't do that. So I got some ice instead, and it's slowly melting, but I'm chewing on ice right now, which I guess in a way is good because I'm limiting the amount of water I'm taking in. I don't think you should be slamming water the day before you go on stage, from what I've seen. And we've got good old chicken here. I had some Frosted Flakes earlier. I ate like half the box. That's basically another type of carb load. I'm very conflicted with this stuff before the stage, man. It's like, okay, sodium manipulation and water, and then when you should carb up and when you shouldn't, and do you look flat, and how flat is too flat? Because I didn't drink much water today. I had a decent amount yesterday. I'm not completely measuring all of it, which I know I should be. That's another reason, bro, why, like, this whole thing just... I don't think I can ever get into it terribly, because just all these minute little details you have to be so obsessive over. It's just like, I don't care, bro. I mean, dude, I come on here and tell you guys that I don't weigh myself every single day, and to some of you, that's complete sacrilege. And I'm competing, and I'm still like, I'll just drink a good amount of water. And I will say, whenever I have a big rush of sugar like that, I get very vascular very quickly. So I'll probably slam some more Frosted Flakes before I go on stage, get the veins popping out. I'm conflicted, man, because this room does not have great lighting. There's a mirror, but it's very close to the wall, so I can't like fully really pose in it properly, if that makes sense. And there's no light near it. The bathroom light's not very good either, so it's kind of hard to get a judge right now. To me, it seems like my abs aren't in as well as they could be, even compared to like the past couple of days. I don't know how much of that is body dysmorphia versus not eating this or eating too much of that. I still think ultimately, though, I would rather be on stage a bit too watery, so-called, but with bigger and fuller muscles than leaner and more shredded, but kind of sucked in. I've seen photos, and this bitch won't shut up. One of them is talking about how she needs to shave her ass crack. People have asked, how maintainable is this current point? Not very. I mean, if you absolutely had to, I guess you could, but you need life circumstances as to where you need a lot going in your favor. I mean, keep in mind, I'm able to work from home, so I can get a bunch of steps in on my treadmill while I'm at my desk. I'm a bachelor. I don't have like a wife and kids and family and a lot of these other obligations other people deal with. And people do make it work. I mean, there are pro bodybuilders and stuff that have full-on families and jobs, which that's remarkable to me. I commend anybody that can do that. Time management-wise and commitment and discipline, especially if you've got family members eating whatever they want to eat and you've got to stick to your diet, I commend you, because that is extremely impressive. But beyond that, the general energy is so low that you can still get things done during the day, but it's very limited in what you can totally do. You get distracted very easily. I mean, depending on your hunger signals and all that stuff, some people will spend a ton of time just thinking about food. Other people, I would be in this camp. I would just probably cave and eat the food if I thought about it for a little bit. But I have taken a nap every single day, sometimes 2 a day, like 1 in the afternoon, 1 sort of around dinner time. That's been pretty much a daily occurrence for a number of weeks, if not a month, up to this point. And once you're down to this level of being lean and strung out, you can't beat it for long. Your body is going to fight back against you and be like, hey, listen, we need to do something about this. And you're like, no, but I want to get ripped. All of that goes into it. And there's also other factors that pop up. I mean, some people get very angry when it comes to being this lean. I can definitely say that my rage increases. I have a shorter fuse. And people talk about me as if I'm extremely angry in general. I think that's simply how I talk. People are like, how come you're so upset every time you talk? And I'm like, I'm just talking, man. I must have been raised around different people than you guys were. And if not even that, you can just generally alienate yourself from other people if you're very obsessed with this. Because make no mistake, guys, there is no way to ease or kind of just live life into being low single-digit body fat. Certain guys, depending on genetics and training history, and if they eat well largely, you can sort of just settle your way into 12%-ish, maybe even 10 depending on the person. But you get down to like 8%, even below, you cannot go about life willy-nilly and keep this look. I mean, you can even have minor fluctuations on a daily, hourly, even minutely basis, depending on certain things, that can throw off the look that you've worked so hard to get to. So that's another reason why bodybuilding is so extreme and why I think it makes a lot of people completely lose their minds. And it's not a surprise that a lot of people go young in this scene. You have to be completely obsessive, not only about getting the look, but then you get there and then it's like, no, I have to maintain this, especially if that's what you're gonna do. Numerous competitions in a row. If that's your brand on social media, that's a big one too. If you're always the peeled guy, the ripped guy, I mean, your entire life has to revolve around just keeping a certain body fat percentage. So if I'm a bit watery or blown out on stage, or if I'm not as full as possible, I mean, it can happen. It probably will happen, really. Man, I'm at the point now it's like, it'll piss me off to an extent, but I can't even get that mad, bro. Like, I'm at the level now to where I'm happy I'm here. No regrets about it, but I am ready for this to be over. But otherwise, I'm covered in this tan. It's disgusting. It's getting on the things I touch. I've got like it on my fingerprints. If I commit a crime right now, that will be a terrible idea. So after this, I'll probably practice posing a bit, which I have to be careful about that too. I was doing that earlier, and because the tan is still kind of fresh, I was practicing the posing and stuff, and it was starting to rub off on me. So I guess it's not fully soaked in yet. So I can't even fully pose properly in terms of practice. But I guess I'll do what I can, and then we'll get to bed. I'll probably wake up very early tomorrow because it's only like 8 p.m. or so here, but I'm sleepy. I'm probably just gonna fall asleep.
6 hours later.
Just a quick update here. It's like 2 in the morning. I've been trying to go to bed since, I don't know, 10 or so. I can't really fall or stay asleep very much, which probably isn't a good thing because that's going to raise my stress, which in turn could make me hold more water. I don't know how much that's really going to be, but I can't really fall asleep. Now here, let me show you what I'm actually trying to sleep on because I can't stain the sheets or I'm going to have to pay a bunch of money to this hotel. Take a look at this. So this is the bed. You see I've got towels on everything and also some shirts. And it's not uncomfortable, but it's also not really comfortable. My stomach is growling. I am hungry. That is one thing that kind of stinks about this. I have to fight the urge. There's a vending machine right outside my room with some fresh Snickers bars in it. I was looking at those earlier like, oh, let me know what you guys do if you can't sleep. It really annoys me because I hate being in the position to where you're not getting anything done, but sleeping is getting something done, right? I mean, you're recovering and it's essential for so many things, but you can't get that done either. And you're just kind of aimlessly just watching the clock. I hate this. It's really annoying. I guess I could practice posing more. I don't really want to though. I'm tired, but I'm not tired enough to fall asleep. You see what I mean? This stinks, man. So update, you can see the sun is coming up. I did not get any sleep. All right, so prejudging is over. It is like 10:30 or 10:45 a.m. Sitting in my car now. I don't know what I'm going to do until 4 p.m., which is when the finals begin. I booked my hotel room for last night only. I didn't want to pay an entire extra day. Maybe I could just go back and sit in the lobby or something, but the finals, the way they break this up is really annoying because you have to find something to do just during the day. I'll be honest with you. I am very heavily considering just not doing the finals and just driving home. And I'll tell you what, I'm really considering just turning this car on and leaving, bro. I had a realization, it was last night more so than even today. I like building muscle. I like being in control of what I eat. I like flexing my muscles, right? But all of those things do not constitute bodybuilding. The act itself, the stage, the judging, the lights, the whole process. I'm sitting here covered, look at this. I'm sitting here covered in this disgusting, sticky spray tan. I got some on last night. I have to sleep on this bed covered in, it looked like a dog peed all over the floor with just blankets all over the bed. And how did I do, you may ask? I don't know, because they completely changed everything up on us. They also had us do what they call 30 seconds in the box. So we had 30 seconds of free posing to do, which I didn't even know about until I was about to walk on stage. I'm like, oh, we're about to do the comparisons. She's like, oh no, you have 30 seconds in the box. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you have 30 seconds to do whatever you want. And I was like, do you mean my routine? She's like, no, that's for later tonight. I'm like, then what are we doing? She's like, oh, they just added it for fun. That's what I was told. They added it for fun. What? So I'm on stage posing. I basically just did half of my routine I'm going to do tonight, and I couldn't even pick the music. I got to sit there, and I'll give the DJ credit. He's playing some decent music. It's not like it's terrible. In hindsight, I don't even remember the song that was playing. Even though this was only half an hour ago, I totally forget at this point because you're all focused on the posing and stuff. I think I did well comparatively because whenever I was on the stage, I was close to the center each time. I did not get moved to the outside, which is a good sign. And judging by backstage, I was on the leaner side for sure. There were some big dudes in that show, but in terms of the pure leanness, I think I was among the best of them. I was trying to ask questions, nobody really knows. The expediters are very helpful. Like, they have all these charts and they're running people down. Like, we need you and all this stuff. They're kind of changing things on the fly. So I can't get mad at them. But I don't really know. I have no idea what to expect. All I know is that whenever I was on stage, I did not get moved to the outside. Because I'm going to sit here for the next couple hours and just do nothing. I mean, I had some sweets prior to the stage, right? You get some candy and get all vascular and stuff. I bought some nice cookies from this girl that made them. They're delicious cookies, by the way. I should have got her name, I forget. But very tasty. And I drank some water. And I guess I could have a little bit of chicken before I go back on stage tonight. But, I just have to sit here, man. And it's nice. Like, there's a little park over here. It's a nice day outside. It's summertime. It's kind of hot, which isn't the best. But I just have to kill time now, man. And I could be home and I could snack and pig out and just be on with my life and get this filthy, disgusting tan off of me. I guess I should see it through. Because if I get a medal, it's cool I get a medal. As much as I try to like bodybuilding, as much as I can really get into it at certain points, I can't get into the entire package that comes with it. The tanning and the constant posing practice. You can't have water past this given minute or else you're going to hold too much water. And increase sodium now by this much. And okay, if you have candy at this point, it's perfect. But if you have it 30 seconds too late, you're going to spill over. I mean, this stuff is... I'm a pretty OCD, meticulous type of person myself. But even this is a lot for me, man. I mean, this is crazy. And something I noticed backstage, too, a lot of people have coaches. Even some guys that look like, with all due respect, complete shit. I can say that as somebody who has not looked good in shows before. But that's what I'm realizing, man. This is just another aspect of the industry. I mean, bodybuilding itself, you guys see it online all the time, I'm sure. Everybody now is a bodybuilding coach or a prep coach. Even if they've never won high-level contests themselves, they're a prep coach. And what probably happens a lot of the time, I guess you could say this with any type of coaching, they'll get some genetic mastodons that will win no matter what happens, right? And then the coach is like, see, that's my athlete. And everyone's like, oh, wow, I got to hire this coach. I'm not trying to throw shots at anybody. Everybody I've met backstage, both shows, everybody's extremely nice, by the way. It's a very, very supportive environment. From the competitors to the people in the audience you might come across, like when you're waiting outside, to the officials, the judges, everybody's very polite and nice and encouraging. It's a very positive atmosphere, which I guess it has to be because everybody's kind of on edge, And you make friends very easily, too. Like, you start chopping it up with the dudes. I met some guy backstage, fellow Guido, and I would say he had me beat out in terms of the size, but I think I was leaner. But that's a whole nother aspect, too, man, why this is so ultimately unhealthy. Not even just, beyond the fact of shredding down and restricting the food, and, then you get into diuretics and people go on a bunch of gear and all the other things that make this just completely unhealthy in general. Just cutting this intensely as a baseline with nothing else is not healthy. On top of that, your body image gets just decimated because, one, you never look as good on stage as you do in your gym selfies under the perfect lighting with the perfect pump. Guys, once again, this is why bodybuilding is a thing. Everybody's on the same stage, under the same lights, judges, everybody's in the same spot. This is why you cannot accurately judge how big people are based on Instagram pictures. You can get a general idea, roughly, obviously, but, guys, I'm bigger than you, bro. And it's like, okay, you've got a selfie and you're up close to the mirror like this and everything. If bodybuilding's worth nothing else, it is the single most objective, even though it's a very subjective activity, it's the most objective comparison possible
for physiques. So when guys are all talking about, oh, I'm bigger than you, oh, my lats are bigger, I have bigger arms, blah, 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 blah. You guys could solve it by going on stage together. You could, even though most of these guys who call themselves bodybuilders never will. Really, I don't even know if I have the genetics to, if I even wanted to go very far in this. I was going to say sport, even though it's not a sport. I mean, let's be real, it's a beauty pageant. As I was getting off stage, the girls were getting on stage. It's really for women, man. Bodybuilding is catered to women, if you ask me. I mean, think about it. It's a beauty pageant. You get to put on the makeup, and you get the hair done and the tan, and you put on your outfit, right? Which the trunks are basically just the guy's outfit. And you go on there and you pose and all this stuff. I mean, it's feminine, really. People get mad at that. You know, I don't think everybody that competes is gay. You remember that Andrew Tate quote, bodybuilding's gay, and he goes on this whole rant about it. I mean, he's not totally wrong. I mean, let's think about something here, guys. What is gayer than bodybuilding? You got sucking dick. Is anything else gayer than bodybuilding? I mean, really, if you flesh it out on paper, it's like, what could be gayer than a bunch of muscular men shaven down, oiled up, in underwear, posing their muscles on a stage? And that's another funny part, too, because this attracts a lot of so-called macho men. Like, there's a lot of, you know, stereotypical, I know this word upsets people, but alpha males, tatted up, ex-military and stuff, firefighters, you know, so-called tough guys, bikers and stuff. A lot of those guys do bodybuilding, man. The women compete, the men compete. You get people from all ethnicities, all backgrounds, people from all over the world do it, right? Traveling and stuff. It's very unique in its own right. But I just can't see myself doing this, man. I mean, I was thinking, like, bro, the past few days, I mean, let alone the amount of cardio I've been doing up to this point, and you spend hours practicing posing, which even then, my posing, I have yet to see the footage. I doubt it's that good, realistically, because I try to make myself practice, but again, that lack of passion never can escape. As much as I try to make myself pose, I do it for like 5-10 minutes, and I'm just like, I'm bored. I just don't like it that much. It just doesn't speak to me. You know what I mean? And just all of the time you put into it, like, man, I spent time traveling here. I paid for the show, for the divisions, for the tanning, for the hotel, for this and for that, the gas money, then I gotta travel back. All the time I spent trimming my freaking body hair off. I mean, dude, I spent 3 or 4 hours in the bathroom the other day shaving my body down. And I've got some nicks and cuts, some battle scars from that, as you would expect, right? I mean, bro, just the absolute pit that is this activity. You have to be so passionate about it to really do this. And I commend anybody, man. I get it. Whatever you like to do, I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, it's a waste of time and it's unhealthy and it's all the competitors are narcissists. But no, man. Whatever you like doing, you have to be narcissistic about it in some form, right? To really get the most out of anything. Even if it's simply studying coding. You have to be selfish with your time to sit at the computer and learn how to code. Even if you volunteer all the time, that's still selfish in a way, right? Because you're using your own time to help other people, but there's also other people you know that could be with you at that time. You see what I mean? So it's like, I don't buy into this whole selfish narcissist angle. Of course, there's going to be narcissists in bodybuilding and fitness. It kind of naturally attracts them. You're under bright lights and people are cheering and you're getting adulation and stuff. That makes sense. And especially for your body, that is really big for a lot of people, especially if they've had body image problems in the past. That ties into it. Like, they get the positive feedback of their body. That's a big thing for a lot of people, man. I think that's why a lot of competitors, and I see some of them backstage, bro. I hear them talk. I met some of them. A lot of these guys have competed for years, and they don't look that impressive. I mean, I think deep down they know they're not going to really go anywhere. They don't have serious potential in bodybuilding, but they just still compete because they like it that much. I mean, bro, look at me right now. I look like I'm Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. I mean, this is absurd. Well, I guess that's one incentive to stay for the rest of the day to see how I end up placing with all of that. But I'm just talking logically now, guys. I'm logical to a fault. Like, I'm logical to the point that it can prevent me from enjoying certain things. Some of you guys can probably relate to that too, because you're always just like, yes, but why? You know, what's the reason? And this entire weekend, not the entire weekend, I still have Sunday free once I get home, but like, I'm going to be just comatose tomorrow, basically, totally useless. You know, there's just other stuff I could be doing, man. Like, there's videos I could be making, but I'm up on this stage flexing my muscles, and, you know, at best I might get a cup or a medal or something. You know, woo, big deal. You just set it on the mantle. You know, it doesn't really mean anything. Like I said, if I do compete in the future, first of all, it's not going to be for a long time because I just need to keep bulking and getting bigger to be really competitive. But the other thing is too, it's like, it would just be for fun. Like, if bodybuilding is going to be in my life, it's going to be a side chick. Actually, side chick might be too high of a level, more like a booty call, you could say. But those are basically my thoughts for now. I'm sitting in this car. I don't know where else to film this right now because the auditorium's loud with the music for the show. And outside, the audio's not going to be as good. Sweating up a storm. The tan is dripping off me. I probably should get out of this car before I ruin my interior. This entire activity is just crazy, man. It's almost psychotic. I mean, truly, like, you list this stuff out on paper. Why would anybody do it? Beyond, like, crippling body image problems or the need for gratification. I understand there's obviously passion to it. And like I said, I get anybody who's passionate because I'm not going to judge you for your passion. Everybody's got their own weird things that they like to do, that they're really into. But man, this activity is just something else, bro. But I'm glad I did it because I'm not going to be one of these guys that always just like, oh, well, you know, I am a bodybuilder, but you never compete. Or, oh, you know, well, I'm this and that, but you never actually step on stage to prove it. I mean, bro, you want to prove these things, guys? Get on stage. That's how you do it. You know, you can take all the good selfies you want and everybody looks good with the perfect Lightroom and Photoshop applied and you've got the pump and you're close up in the mirror. If not Photoshopping with editing, I'm talking like, you know, actually adding to your muscles to make them look bigger, like artificially enhancing your own size, warping the pictures and stuff. Pretty common nowadays too. Much less obvious than it used to be as well. I mean, bro, you guys might notice, you know, a lot of people, you see them on IG, they look insane. You see them on stage and it's like, oh, you know, it's a big difference. That's not a coincidence. You can't fake the funk once you're on stage. You don't know how long the competitors have been training or competing, how old they are. Some of these guys have been training for years and years, double, triple the time you have. Some of them are genetic mastodons. You know, some are on gear, some aren't, right? I mean, there's all these variables that go into it. So that's why I try not to get too bought into this entire thing. I try not to take it terribly seriously. Would I like to win? Of course. But even going into my last show, man, I said this, I'm not hell-bent on bodybuilding. And I think that's ultimately healthier because becoming hell-bent on this, especially whenever you don't have the genetics to be very good at it, that's how people end up tons of side effects, 25-year-olds that are totally bald, they look like they're 55, covered in acne, major health problems at young ages, going to the doctor all the time on tons of medication, on and off cycle, emotional problems. I have an old video about a warning to young men about diving heavily into the fitness space and PEDs and stuff. A lot of you guys mentally have a lot of problems as is. Jumping on the sauce and all these other things, competing seriously is going to only make that much worse in my estimation. So keep that in mind too. I think I have like a healthy level of detachment from this. I think that's necessary unless you are a high-level pro. Those are my thoughts right now. Really fighting the urge not to leave, man. I guess you're about to find out.
Okay, I don't know what the hell just happened. You can see my eyes, though. It's like I'm crying. Dude, I don't know if it's like the tanning product that seeped into my eyes or what, but dude, I couldn't see anything for the past like 2 minutes straight, and my eyes are burning. I don't know what the heck happened, man. I was just walking around backstage, and all of a sudden, like, I went blind. Oh my god, my nose is running. It has to be some type of allergic reaction, but holy heck, dude. I hope that doesn't happen again because that was terrible. Thankfully, I've got eye drops here. I put the eye drops in, it actually made it worse right off the bat as opposed to better. I'll tell you what, man, I am just ready for this day to be over. So yeah, you may be like, that's it for finals, where's the video? Guys, we are, well, at this point, 8 days after the show. I have still not received my stage videos yet. What I probably should have done, because I know at least one of the guys I was competing against had a number of people in the crowd there with him. I'm sure they got videos of him, which means they got videos of me because we were on stage a lot together. In hindsight, I probably should have asked him for those. I was so disoriented that day, it didn't even really cross my mind, but I definitely should have done that. Once I do, if ever, receive my stage videos, especially the finals routine, you guys will see it. I'll probably put it up as a short, but until then, I don't want to keep delaying this video any farther. So, you already saw the massive rant I went on in the car. A lot of my thoughts were covered there. I got second place in novice, and then this is third place in overall. I've talked to some people and showed them the pictures. They have said that they believe I should have gotten first in novice because I was more totally conditioned than the guy who got first. I understand the judge's decision, though. Two big reasons. One, he has pretty good ab genetics, that dude. Like you probably saw on the legs, I definitely had more defined legs, but he had more overall size, at least that stood out in pictures and on the stage. And even though he had more soft legs, I would say we had roughly equivalent cores in terms of definition. That's another aspect of this too, man. Body fat distribution. And as I've said, my posing is not very good. I mean, if I compete again and want to really put my all into it, I will have to go even further into the money pit, right? I'll have to get a posing coach and probably a prep coach. My conditioning was not so out of this world to where it could make up for the size difference. And you guys know my physique, man. I'm always fighting my deer bone genetics. I just have long limbs. I have really long legs, especially for my frame. My body is not one that just packs on mass extremely quickly. No matter how much I bulk, no matter how much I eat, and all these people, oh, you're going to get obese eating that much. You want to bet? You think? You think I enjoy eating this much food and I still can barely pack on that much size? I mean, I think I have bulking down to a pretty good science. I have so many videos on the damn stuff. But even so, man, I'm just not naturally somebody that just packs on a ton of size. It's just not in my genetic cards. So I gotta do what I gotta do. And that's another question too. If my posing was really pristine, would I have gotten first? I suppose you could make that argument, because some of the pictures I saw, man, I was having the same problems, right? I was struggling to really flex my quads. Some of them, my quads looked good. Other ones, it was like, okay, what's even happening here? Some of them I saw my abs were not flexed as well as they could have been. You know, even leading up to the show, I changed my favorite classic pose a few times because I was worried I wasn't going to hit it properly on stage, right? So the posing itself is something you have to take very seriously at this point if you want to be very good at this. So there's always room for improvement, and I'd have to really hammer those things down if I do this again. And otherwise, it was not bad, man. I mean, I don't regret doing it. I'm a week after at this point. Like, you know, I've had the pig outs. I've definitely gained some weight back. I will say, man, this week, it's very easy to get into the binge cycle. I don't think I did. I definitely had some junk food. I mean, I had some crap pretty much almost every day this week. I think the past day or so I've kind of really stabilized and polished off what I had here. That is something I'll say. I think I'm going to make a full video about binge eating and EDs and all that other stuff. Just the whole topic of food and how taxing eating is for a lot of people, how much energy people have to expend mentally and physically, the willpower and stuff not to just overeat constantly, and how to avoid junk food and stuff. There's a lot that goes into that as well. The food guide is still coming. I didn't forget about it. Stay tuned for that. I go into all this stuff in very good detail there with a lot of references too. But I will say, man, I don't know how you don't get some type of binge or just general eating disorder if you're a serious bodybuilder. Because by default, you restrict so much. And then you finally finish the show. Oh my God, yes, you get to eat all your favorite stuff. You guys know how it is, man. You eat some junk food, your cravings, at least for me, I think most people resonate with this, your cravings just skyrocket. So not only are you hungry from restricting for so long, especially that combination like fatty and sugary at the same time, which is most candies and things of that nature. Maybe you do like a burger with ice cream or pizza with ice cream, that type of stuff, whatever you like to really go for. That just further amplifies the cravings. So not only are you hungry in the sense that you've barely been eating for so many months, and now you have on top of that your addictive craving. I mean, guys, I saw a recent article talking about how the addictiveness of modern food is basically on par with cocaine. Not an exaggeration. I mean, you have both of those things working against you. It's no surprise why a lot of competitors, you always see them posting just throwback pictures to stage, and they go months and months without posting anything recent. Or maybe they only post in a hoodie or a long sleeve shirt. That's why, bro. And again, it's not only the women. A lot of men deal with this too now. Even people that don't compete. There's a lot of pitfalls when it comes to binge eating and stuff in the modern culture, given just how absurd our modern food supply is. All this hyper-processed junk that is just so readily available everywhere you turn. It's a lot to overcome, man. But I mean, I was at the point this past week, dude, I would eat myself into the point of essentially needing to fall asleep. You guys might have experienced that too, where you're not even enjoying the food anymore, but you just keep eating it. It's like this weird form of masochism. You know what I mean? So like I'm just taking more and more bites and I'm just stuffed, like big food baby. I'm just totally bloated. I feel sick. Like I feel like a complete piece of shit. But there's more candy here, so it's like I just have to keep eating it. I'll keep drinking some more of this, keep eating that, right? It's just like, in hindsight, man, it's kind of scary in a way. Like you almost like lose touch with yourself. And I'm sure there's some people that genetically and for other factors, they don't deal with this as much. But if you're like me, you grew up around a lot of sweets, you have a high sweet tooth, I think this is more common than not, without question. It can be very hard to overcome these things, man. So that was an experience. Seeing the scale go up doesn't really affect me. I've gained just over 10 pounds in the past week or so, which I think is reasonable. I don't think it's been that bad. A lot of that's water weight too, because I mean, I went from eating very little carbs for a long time during the prep to eating hundreds and hundreds of grams a day. And I'm paying the price too, man. I can see it. Like I've got some little acne coming back up. That's what happens whenever you bring the junk food back into the rotation. But I'm also at the point now where I have to work on getting my new bulking diet in order. And you guys know the full day of eating for Cultivating Mass Season 3 is coming. I'm going to outline all the food there. So I'm also kind of working with that at the same time. That makes it even worse because I'm testing out the new bulking diet and I'm still having like those junk food cravings. So like I'm eating just more and more. I'll tell you what, man, people were commenting like, don't be like Larry Wheels and gain 53 pounds after the show. It's like, bro, I don't think I have the overall body mass to do that. But I'll tell you what, I can easily see how that happens to people because it's very difficult to overcome this. And that's another aspect too, man. This past week, I have been largely useless. I've had a hard time doing any type of work, like just focusing. I've slept in more. I've been taking naps. And part of that's probably just general recovery from, you know, how intense the prep can become. But man, the past few days, it's like I've been in a total trance. Like, it's almost like I'm still in prep, even though I'm obviously not. But it's like this weird thing of, okay, I was so focused on the prep. And that was like guiding all my decisions for so many months now. And then all of a sudden it's over and it's gone. And now you're like, oh, I don't have to do a bunch of cardio today. I don't have to, you know, restrict food today. But you also don't know what else to do with yourself. And then like I just said, right, I'm just going to eat a bunch of food because I have nothing else to do. You know what I mean? It's very odd. But I've kind of had a hard time this week getting back in the swing of my normal schedule. I trained this week and I got back into my usual intensity and stuff, and I didn't lose much intensity whenever I was prepping. Toward the end, it definitely went down. The volume went down too. That's another video coming out soon too, how to adjust training variables whenever you're cutting seriously. But the tail end of those workouts was pretty tough, and I was actually supposed to work out today. I didn't even go today because I woke up very late. I overslept by like almost 3 hours today. And to get this video done and get other things done, there just wasn't enough time for the gym. So that's something that's really bothering me right now. I hate whenever I lose track of my routine. I'm a very routine-oriented person, meticulous. I like things buttoned up, you know, everything to go, this time I go here, this I do this, you know what I mean? And that can be flexible, obviously. Everybody has to be. But my routine this week was really, really thrown off. So I want to really get that taken care of next week and get back into the swing of normal life. And in terms of body image, seeing myself gain weight back is not that bad. I still have ab lines, especially if I flex them. And like I said too, as I get back into a more normal diet, some of the water weight's going to fall off too because I've just been eating so much junk this week. So much sugar. So much freaking sugar, man. But I'm getting close, I believe, to returning to that normal. And the last point I thought of, I'll tell you what, man, you see yourself in stage pictures versus what you see in your usual gym selfies. I touched on this earlier in this video too, but the difference is crazy, man. I mean, bro, I don't care if you're talking about someone on my level as an amateur, if you're talking up all the way into Olympia caliber, there's a select few people like C-Bum who look pretty much as good on stage as they do in their general Instagram pictures. Even then, you could argue he doesn't even look as good. I mean, you just can't fake it, bro. Like, dude, that's the craziest thing about this. You get up on stage, and you guys probably see this on Instagram a lot. I do all the time. You'll see these people and they look completely peeled. And then you see them on the stage and it looks like they're 5% body fat higher in the span of like 2 days. And there could be issues with food and they overate or something or drank too much water, all that stuff. But realistically, you're not gaining that much noticeable body fat. Just body fat in general. You're not gaining that much in that tiny amount of time. So I get why they do the tan. It's a way to sort of equate skin tones out. But I don't know, man. The tanning, I think, is kind of overdone. It gets kind of ridiculous. Like, I think one coat would be plenty. The second one, and then before you go on stage for finals, they do even more. On top of that too, right, you have on Instagram and social media, everybody's got the perfect pump and they can retake the picture as many times as they want. You're up on that stage, man. You have a few seconds, they call the position, bam, gotta change it. You don't have any time to sit there and adjust and look in the mirror and do that. All you can see looking out are the bright lights and the crowd and the judges and the photographers. That's all you can see. Right, there's no margin for error there. And even when it comes to getting pumped, I mean, I grabbed my resistance bands backstage prior to the finals, and I was about to start doing just some curls, and the woman starts yelling my number. I'm like, what's going on? I rush over, she's like, you're about to go on stage, and I'm like, what the, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even have time to fully pump up. You know, there's a lot of miscommunication and stuff that you can miss backstage if you're not paying really close attention, and even then, sometimes the judges, like they did in my show, they will just change the order of things. They will switch this around, do this. Like, it's unpredictable in a way, which I guess adds to the experience. But, you know, there's that aspect of it too. You're not as pumped up as you could have been. There's so many variables that go into how you look on that stage, man. And some of them you can totally control. Other ones that you don't really have control over. But overall, I'd say definitely an improved showing. And I talked about earlier, I don't see myself competing seriously, but this is why you hear people talk about catching the bug of competing. If you're competitive, even if it's only with yourself, you always want to improve. So my first show was a mess. This one, I mean, I wouldn't say this was great, but it was better. And I look at the pictures, I see the posing, I'm like, okay, I can improve that, I can get this bigger. So that's an incentive for why I think a lot of people still compete, even if in terms of serious pro card status, national status, all this other stuff, if it's just not there for them. I think that's another reason why a lot of people compete beyond the vanity aspect, because a lot of people today, you guys see in all these bios, IFBB Pro in all caps, people put it in their username too. That's a big thing for people, man. That's a status symbol at this point. IFBB Pro, that means a lot to people that it means a lot to. I think some people really, I think they like the status of being an IFBB Pro more than they actually like lifting weights itself. Like, lifting weights and eating is more a means to an end to get the pro card and get that status and kind of get in the clicks, as opposed to really enjoying the process. I do think you need both, given how intense bodybuilding is ultimately. And I don't think many bodybuilders genuinely dislike training or anything. But some of them, man, you'll see it after their shows or their competition season. They'll just stop training, they'll shrink, they come off all the gear, they eat whatever they want, and then, oh, it's time to compete again, then they just kind of hop back on everything and get back in the swing of things. So that's an aspect of it too. I don't see myself competing again minimum until probably 2026. If I decide to do so, I have to just gain size, man. I just have so much frame to fill out. I would be interested to see what I can do if I go 100%, right? Like, if I get the prep coach and the posing coach, and if I really commit the time to it. But in any case, the stage is not in my foreseeable future. I've got to get bigger. I would like to surpass 200 pounds, maybe go up to 210, 215 this time. Ideally keeping mid-teens body fat, keeping some visible abs, that'd be really nice. So stay tuned, we're going to see what happens. But let me know your thoughts down below. And thank you guys for all of the support. And I went from 5th place in one class to top 3 in 2 separate classes. So if we extrapolate the math out, maybe I'm due to get 1st place next time. But there's going to be a lot of work to get there.